and welcome to the tutorial What I Need to Get Started. So you're going to need a few things in order to have your yoga practice or to start your yoga practice. You don't actually need all of these things, but it's really handy to have, and it helps to support your practice in a very practical way. The first and most important thing is your yoga mat. So having a good quality yoga mat is key to a sturdy and healthy practice. So you can get mats from pretty much anywhere, but generally the mats that you get from normal stores, they start to crumble and fall apart. And you don't want to be dealing with that when you're trying to focus on your practice. So good quality mat. I have a jade mat, which is the Rolls-Royce of yoga mats. I've had it since 2011 and it hasn't crumbled, it hasn't done anything. Unfortunately, it is quite difficult to get in South Africa. So alternatives are a Manduka mat or a Muki mat, which are fantastic quality. Muki is locally made, it's a South African brand. Manduka is international, but both mats are fantastic quality and will really hold you in good stead for your practice. Mats can be quite expensive, but like I said, completely worth the investment. My mat I've had for 8 years now, and it's definitely worth the money that I spent on it. The next thing you're going to need is props, all of your props. And props they have quite a bad rep because it seems like if you use props then you're not actually doing yoga. I've been practicing yoga for 15 years and I still use props in every single one of the classes that I take myself. Props are a very important part of the practice. So starting off with our blocks. So blocks are very important. Blocks help us to lift the earth up to meet us if we're not quite there yet. Really important to have a solid block. So either a wooden block or a cork block. Those foam blocks, they don't quite give the stability that you need. So try and find cork blocks or wooden blocks, or these wonderful Harry Potter books work just as well. So if you've got a set of Harry Potter books or thick books like this, you can use those in your practice to start off with. Next, very important is to have a strap. So a strap, but you need to have a D-ring on the strap. So you must have a D-ring in order to loop the strap around for certain poses. So very important to have D-rings on your yoga strap. The next thing that is important to have, especially for our relaxation, is a bolster or a pillow. So I don't have a bolster myself unless I go to a studio, so I use a nice thick pillow to put under your knees in relaxation or behind your back in certain poses. Really good to be comfortable when you start to relax and let go. A wall is a good thing to have, especially when we're focusing on inversions. It's a good prop to use to help you build the confidence to go upside down. Blanket is really important to have, especially for things like our shoulder stands and in back bends if your hips dig into the ground. Also really nice to have in Shavasana to cover you and to keep you nice and cozy. A towel is quite important. Yoga practices can be quite sweaty and you don't want to be dripping sweat and distracting you from your practice. So have a sweat towel handy right at the top of your mat so that when you come down to lie down on your tummy, you can quickly wipe your face, get the sweat out of your eyes. Clothes are super important. Yoga pants are, I'm sure everybody knows, hanging out in your active wear. Yoga pants are very important. I would encourage the gents on the course to give yoga pants a try as well. To practice in shorts can be quite restrictive. You can't quite get into the lunges, into the hip openers. So give yoga pants a little try. You're in the comfort of your own home. There's nobody there to judge you or to look at you strange. Try out a pair of pants. It is fantastic to do yoga in. Also, try to make sure that you're using quite form-fitting tops so that you're not using a t-shirt so when you go upside down, the t-shirt falls into your face. So try and keep things quite form-fitting, but quite stretchy as well, because you need all of that area, that stretch, that comfortability to move. So you just need to make sure you're comfortable and that nothing is restricting you in your movements. Also important to have handy but not become reliant upon is some water in a glass bottle, very important. So having water handy is really good because you are practicing physically, you are doing a physical practice, so you do need to rehydrate, but you don't want to become dependent on the water. So what happens in a class is you get into an uncomfortable position, something you don't want to hold, something you don't want to do, and you say to yourself, oh, I need a quick drink of water, and you escape that pose by using the water as a crutch. So have the water if necessary, but don't become dependent on it as an escape out of a difficult situation. Drink lots of water before the class, drink lots of water after the class. This is very important to keep hydrated and keep your organs well lubricated and flushing out all the toxins. Really important to practice as well before you come onto your mat to make sure that your tummy isn't full. So we're doing a lot of movements and twists and back bends, and you can't do all of that if you've eaten. So try to make sure that you practice 2 to 3 hours after you've eaten, so that you do it on an empty tummy. It's fine to have snacks, a bit of fruit, some nuts, that kind of stuff, but save that meal for after your practice because you are going to be ravenous after you practice yoga. The most important thing that you need to practice yoga is an open mind and a willingness to learn. Really important when you are starting your practice is to realize that you arrive at your mat every time in a different state of being, a different state of mind, a different energy. So you're bringing all of your stuff to your practice. And all of your stuff, there's not much room for it in your practice. So when you arrive at your mat, you understand that you're arriving in a different space each time, and that's okay. Wherever you come from is perfectly okay. But before you get into your practice, it's good to just take a few moments to set all of that stuff aside, just for the hour of your practice or whatever it may be. So set your stuff aside for a moment and use this opportunity that you have, this beautiful opportunity, to focus completely on yourself, to bring all of your attention onto you, onto your practice, onto your breath, onto your body. And you can pick all of your other stuff up again after your practice. But you may find that all of your other stuff has a new light shone on it after your practice. There's a new perspective to all of that stuff. To make it a bit easier for yourself to get into a habit, it may be a good idea to set all of your stuff up, all of your equipment up the night before you want to start practicing. So set your mat up, have your blocks handy, have your towel, your water, your bolster and your blanket all set up. Have your clothes set out ready for you so that when your alarm goes off in the morning, all you have to do is get up, put your clothes on and make your way to the mat. And you can use that setting up as a ritual and as a habit-forming practice so that when you go down the line and you've got into the habit, all you need is that alarm to go off, clothes are on, and you're ready to practice. Thank you for joining me for this tutorial on what you need to get started. Click on the next video to find out a little bit more about the practice.